Uh, Good morning. Happy Sunday. And overall, a very solid Saturday was had yesterday. Although I do have to get to my low, my high, I have to count first. Although, let's be honest, my high is going to be talking about everything that happened yesterday. It was awesome. But what could have made it truly best was the fact that my low happened, was the fact that it rained. See, originally I was going to be planning on going to Nick's in Horseheads because, like, St. Patrick's Day is always huge there. And last night and next Saturday, actually St. Patrick's Day weekend, like, there were going to be, like, really big St. Patrick's Day related events going on. They were going to have something yesterday because Horseheads had their St. Patrick's Day parade. One problem though, it rained. It actually rained all day yesterday. And that deterred quite a few people. So, yeah, that was kind of sad. Although, for sure next Saturday is going to be huge. Like, Friday and Saturday are going to be like the big days for celebrating St. Patrick's Day. I mean, even though St. Patrick's Day is going to be on a Sunday. And, you know, I mean, it's actually a good thing that St. Patrick's Day is on a Sunday. Because if it was like on Saturday, which it would have been were it not for a leap year, I'm sure a lot of people would just spend that entire day not making some very good choices. We'll say that much. Honestly, Sunday is kind of a blessing in disguise. Although, regardless of what you're going to be doing on Friday or Saturday, I'm pretty sure I don't need to remind you all that if you are going to drink, please do it safely and responsibly. And for the love of God, if you don't feel like you can drive, call somebody. Okay? Take an Uber. Do whatever it is you gotta do. You know, probably living probably like the highlight of your life, and you don't want to spend the rest of it dead. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm sure I'm going to be saying that a lot more this upcoming weekend. But for now, let's get into my high and the main topic of today, which was, well, actually, I can get to my act of kindness first. My act of kindness was to help because here's what happened. I go to church yesterday at St. Mary Mother, and I first went to Nick's, and it wasn't as, you know, crowded as I thought it would be. So I went to Corny and I did it with my folks and watched my nephews. And that was my act of kindness to help my folks take care of my nephews. I go back to Nick's, still not anything spectacular. So yeah, that was a good bulk of some of my evening yesterday. But what ended up happening was, in the afternoon, and I want to make one thing clear. The story I'm about to tell you is something I would never do. Especially not in the middle of the afternoon on a Saturday before I have to go to church. But yesterday I went for my first whiskey tasting. So, you're probably wondering how I got lucky enough to do that, right? Well, Ill Eagle Taphouse was having a whiskey tasting, and it was like $95 a ticket. Now, I saw what time it was, and I saw how much the ticket was. I'm like, yeah, it's not worth doing this. Not if I have to go to church. You know, I can always spend the day with my family. And I'm going to go back to Ill Eagle after I see my folks anyway, which is what I wound up doing. So, if I wind up not going, it's not the end of the world. But about several days before the event, they did a free giveaway for 3 free tickets. Obviously, 3 winners, 1 ticket each. Obviously. Now, I signed up for this giveaway thinking, there's no way I'm going to win this. No way. Like, I mean, there's something I have no intention of even considering going to. And, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. One of my dream jobs is to become kind of like a sommelier. And, you know, sommelier isn't just wine, but also spirits and beer and all sorts of other stuff. So I do need to practice doing stuff like this. And, I'm not even sure what's going to be arranged. I mean, is there going to be food there? I mean, because here's the thing. Whiskey is hard liquor. Hard stuff. But I'll get to that in a minute. So, like Thursday afternoon, I get a message from a dear friend of mine, literally saying, woot woot. I'm like, what happened? So I look at the post my friend showed me, and I won. Huh? Oh, shut up. No way. I'm like, no way. I mean, I never get this lucky, ever. Like, ever. Okay? Like, how? But, as luck would, call it the luck of the Irish. Why not? So, what was funny is, after I found out that I won a ticket, one of the first things I did was I called my mom. And I told my mom about this event. And actually, believe it or not, my grandfather's birthday was yesterday. We're going to probably celebrate it today. So, that's why I told my mom and dad about the whiskey tasting. And here's the thing. This is before I won the ticket. I had no intention of going. And I didn't want to pay $95 for a ticket. That's why I signed up for that free giveaway. I mean, you can't win if you're not in. So, I called my mom after I win the ticket, and she's like, oh, you have to go now. I'm like, I guess so. To which I then later posted on my Facebook, well, shit, now I gotta go play the lottery. Because, I never get this lucky, And it happened. So, literally just the experience of getting the ticket was already a huge thing of itself. Then there was the actual event. So, not last night, but the night before, I was getting, chills, and I had a bit of a bug. And I'm like, oh, God, I'm not going to have any time to make myself any breakfast. So, I pretty much had, nothing to eat for up until maybe an hour. I got myself some Chex Mix, just, for something to eat, because considering what I was going through, I needed to replace fluid, I needed to replace salt. I needed that right away. So I get ready to go, and I go to Ill Eagle, and the barrel house where the event was taking place was set up beautifully. I mean, there was, tastings of all different kinds of whiskeys. There was a table for food. There was several raffle tables. I'll get to those in a minute. And some of my friends who were working there, I got to see them. It was awesome. It was a whole lot of fun. Now, for when I got there, I was given technically 4 different kinds of tickets. There was my actual ticket. There was a ticket to potentially win one of 2 really good bottles of a whiskey. And one of them was a 10-year Pappy Van Winkle, which, U.S. domestic sells at around at least $800. If you were to buy this bottle in, a liquor store, it would be over $1,000. So, this is some pretty good stuff. And, I got, 4 sets of 4 red tickets, and the tickets were for this table that had a whole bunch of different kinds of wines and liquor, and you only had 4, so you had to choose which ones you wanted. I was given 5 blue tickets, and those tickets were, because there were 2 sets of tasting tables. There was a tasting table that was for free, and there was the tasting table that you needed the blue tickets for. So obviously, again, you have to be very choosy of what you're going to taste. And in terms of food, they had 2 fruit and cheese boards, which is awesome, obviously with the crackers. They had bacon wrapped scallops, and they had mini pulled pork sliders. all you can eat, which was good because believe me, I need it, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Now, in terms of the stuff I actually used the blue tickets for, I actually tried the Pappy Van Winkle 12-year. See, I mentioned earlier that one of the bottles I tried to win on its own was the Pappy Van Winkle 10-year. But this was the 12-year I tried. And that bottle could go for, well, probably U.S. domestic, like $1,200 or more. So this is some hard stuff. Like, throughout the afternoon, I sampled all kinds of, whiskeys and bourbon and rye and, some of the hardest stuff you could ever imagine. Altogether, I probably had maybe 8 ounces of that kind of stuff all together. All different proofs and all different, of many different kinds of, hard liquor. There was Kentucky Owl that was really good. Belvenue, I think there was another one I tried. Bush, that was a good one. There was one more I definitely tried. I can't remember. And here's the thing, I mentioned earlier that, I do kind of want to be a sommelier someday. And right now, my biggest problem for me is, if I drink, especially if I'm going to be drinking anything with food, I'd rather have it taste good to me. And the problem with whiskey is, it's definitely some strong stuff. Like, if you're not careful, it's going to take you by surprise. And some of the stuff I was drinking was very smooth going down. But then there were times the spice really kicked in. I say spice, but more like really strong tasting alcohol. When I say spice, it's coming from the alcohol, the burn. That's what I mean. And again, I had a whole bunch of the fruit and cheese and crackers, several sliders, and a whole bunch of the bacon wrapped scallops. And again, I probably had maybe 8 ounces worth of everything all together in terms of what I drank. I was still feeling a little bit tipsy. I want to emphasize this. I was okay to drive. I really was okay to drive. And by the time I left, which was a little bit before 4 o'clock, I was definitely feeling okay. Ill Eagle Taphouse is literally a half mile from where I live right now. So it's not like I had to travel far. So I got here, tried to, stayed put until I had to go to church, stay near my mother at 5. And then I went out with the rest of my evening. So in terms of the overall experience at this tasting, I had a blast. True, whiskey isn't my thing, but, for one thing, I'm going to have to make it my thing if I want to be good, tasting stuff. But also, it was a learning experience. And I did learn a lot. To make any kind of alcohol, whether it's wine or beer or any spirit, again, like whiskey, it's a lot of work. And a lot of the work really has to do with time. There's a reason why, I mentioned the Pappy Van Winkle 10-year and 12-year. They really have been aging that stuff for, again, 10, 12 years. The batches that they use there's only so much in every batch. And so that's why it's priced the way it is. And again, when you really are good at this sort of thing, you can actually taste some of the, obviously in several things I can taste corn because, that's what whiskey's made of. A couple things I had, a few cinnamon notes. Finger Lakes Distilling was there. They had a bourbon and a rye, and they were both very good. So I actually learned a lot. I mean, yeah, I got a lot to learn before I want to be like, quote unquote, good at tasting. But you can't learn if you don't try stuff like this. And again, I only got to go because of that free ticket that I won. I never would have gone otherwise, but I did. And in a lot of ways, it was meant to be. So after I go to Ill Eagle, came back here for a little bit, went to church, stayed with my mother, and then headed to Nick's, like I said earlier, no one was there. So then I go to Sorges with my mom and dad in Corning, so watch my nephews. Went back to Nick's, still nothing really major happening. So then I went back to Ill Eagle. And from then, I stayed there for a little while, saw my friend there. I actually had to talk to my one friend about something rather important that I'm finally glad I did. Thank God. Don't gotta worry about that anymore. And I stayed there until about, maybe 8:45. So I went over to Pix, and because usually I have a friend who works there on Saturday nights, but she wasn't there. So to end my night, I just went to the elbow room. And honestly, considering every place I went to, whether it was, I know I mentioned Nick's wasn't really hopping necessarily. There was still a lot of people there. Or Pix, which was completely packed because Elmira had something called Leprechaun, which is essentially a bar crawl that, in my defense, was not advertised very well because I had no idea what was going on. But, Pix was absolutely packed. And even like Ill Eagle, after everything was over, there was still a lot of people there. It really was nice to go to the elbow room just for something quiet. And there were some people that I know there. So I got to hang with them for a little bit. It was late at night and there might have still been a little bit of liquor in my system. So, as long as I'm in elbow room, get myself some wings, And yeah, I just came here. So would I do this whiskey tasting again? Oh, absolutely I would. Although, how about I make a whole bunch of YouTube money? Therefore, rather than just, relying on luck to win a ticket, I could just simply, pay for a $95 ticket. But on the whole, this was a lot of fun. I'm so glad I went. I know one of my friends who was at the whiskey tasting event yesterday is like, yeah, more tastings more often. I'm like, don't get me wrong, that'd be a lot of fun, but I don't know, man. Once a month would be, that's a little much. But you know what? If they never had anything like this again, that's fine. Because I'm glad I went. It was a whole lot of fun. I learned a lot, which at the end of the day really is the most important. Well, technically the most important thing is I had fun, but I also learned a lot of stuff too. And when, it's going to sound like an after school special, but when you have fun learning, you know for a fact you're doing it right. So, to those who celebrated St. Patrick's Day a week early, chances are if you're watching this, you probably made it home safely. But, and I'll stress this as we get on closer to the holiday, please be careful when you drink. Know what your limits are going in. Make sure you have food on hand, especially if you're going to drink some of the hard stuff like I had yesterday. And for the love of God, don't drive if you don't think you can. If you even feel like the slightest bit unsure, don't drive. It's not worth it, okay? I want to emphasize this. So, honestly, not a bad way to spend a Saturday for me. I hope y'all like this video. If you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on social media. As always, I am very humble in this video for all of you guys who watch and enjoy for today. And hopefully you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Saturday. And remember, if any of you guys want to talk or chat, I'm always going to be here to lend an ear. I'll always have your back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.